Uh, Hi. Um, was kind of hoping that my video. I know I haven't vlogged for a really long time, and was kind of hoping that um, I've kind of got to do it, and it's been a lot's gone on in the last few months, and it's been a tough few months. It's been mostly good. A lot of self reflection going on. A lot of stuff, a lot of insights in myself. Trying to put a little of my past behind me. But anyway, and so I'm really sorry I haven't kept up with you. But today's episode, I'm here today because this almost didn't happen. So for those who've been playing along at home, especially those who've been following me on Instagram, you would know that my sort of a fairly big milestone is coming up for me. My first half Ironman is coming up, which will be at Port Macquarie. Yes, hello, Austin. Yes, I'm making a vlog. Yes, I know you've been telling me to make a vlog for ages and I haven't, but I'm making a vlog. Can you wait? Wait, thank you, darling. Um, so yeah, my first half Ironman is coming up very soon, in 2 weeks. Uh, um, so I'm sort of mainly getting some training in for that. Now this has sort of been sort of the start of my sort of so you got table week 4, but sort of the same week 4 is sort of fairly high intensity last minute training sort of stuff, and leading into that. I got a new bike as well. Picked up got a Cervelo P3. So I got my first TT bike, and I was in two minds about whether I would take it to port or not. And also for those who know, again, playing along at home, you know that cycling is definitely not my strongest suit, and sort of doing a lot of struggling with that. So I sort of went, okay, so took the TT out, and my coach has been getting me to take on some hill work to actually sort of, because Port Macquarie is a fairly hilly bike course. So I wanted to get some hill work in done and see how I go. Anyway, long story short, coming back from my rides today with the club, so quite a few riders. I was sort of back of the pack, sort of fairly isolated because I sort of lost them at some a bit of a traffic snarl up. So they're coming into a roundabout, so I couldn't cross the road. So I lost a bit of the main group, but sort of caught up with one of them coming up to this intersection. And today's been really hard. As I said, this video almost didn't happen. You almost didn't get any more videos again. So the image that you're seeing now, that was me a few hours ago. That smile is me trying to put a brave face on it, and the amount of drugs in my system. I got schmucked by a car. Now, that's terrifying. It's one of those things that as a cyclist, you always kind of know it in the back of your head that it could happen. But yeah, when it happens to you, oh yeah. And the frustrating part is that I've spent a lot of time. I've spent time in the Middle East. I've spent time in Europe. I've spent time in the US, and I have never found a place that where drivers actively hate cyclists as much as they do in Australia. And they just actively seem to ignore them and just don't care. And today was an absolute classic example. I'm coming up to an intersection with a set of lights. The lights are green for me to go straight through. I am going straight through. Now, for those who might watch America, we drive on the left, not the right. So I'm in the edge lane, exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm going down, just cycling through. All good. Lights are green for me to go straight through. No problem. This proverbial decides that his rights as a driver of a motor vehicle are more important than my equally same rights as a fellow road user on a bicycle, and my rights as a human being. So he decides that he wants to turn left, which is fine. And if he had waited literally 6 seconds, maybe 10 seconds, he would have been able to turn safely, and I would never have even known he was there. Instead, as I enter the intersection, he accelerates past me and then turns left in front of me with barely a meter between my front wheel and his car. I'm doing 26 kilometers an hour. I don't know what that is miles per hour, guys. Sorry, so I'd have to work that out. But I'm not exactly standing still. I'm moving. He's cut across the front of me. I got nowhere to go. I managed to. I sort of go. There's no way I can stop. So I try to avoid the accident by turning with him to try and turn like the same direction he was going. He was turning to just try and stop instead, but I still impacted that. Combined velocity of probably around about 40 kilometers an hour. And yeah, as I hit, I got collected by the car. The momentum carried me through, spun me down, threw me to the ground. Blood everywhere. The bike is, I don't know at this point. I'm screaming in pain. Like I managed to get off the road. Got help up from another cyclist. I got up and got myself off the road, or they helped me get off the road. And here's the thing. Now, I will acknowledge at least he did stop. At least he stopped, but he literally went, and I'm on the I'm on the footpath, covered in blood and screaming from the amount of pain that I'm in, because I thought I'd actually I was covered in blood from various soft tissue wounds on my arm and on my shoulder the skin had been ripped open, and I'm screaming because I'm in so much pain from my arm and from my leg. I thought I'd actually done something to my hip or my leg, because every time I tried to move it, I just spat, pain shooting everywhere. And he's going, oh, okay, you'll be all right. I've got somewhere to go. I need to go somewhere. And I'm like, I'm like dazed, I'm like, what the hell? Like, you've just cut me off. And then he tried to say that he was in the right. And this is so frustrating. It's like, you've just cut in front of me, cut me off as another road user. If I was in a car, like we wouldn't have having this conversation. We'd be working out this is swap register insurance details, and we're done. Instead, he's like, no, I've got to go. So fortunately, another cyclist got his details and his registration, but I was essentially carted off in an ambulance because for a period of time I did lose sensation in my extremities. They were very concerned that I had spinal injury. In the end, so they immobilized me. They trussed me up like a chicken for several hours, which, when you need to go to the bathroom, is really not a fun experience. Just throwing it out there. And it was a terrifying experience for many reasons and many layers, and very frustrating that there was this sheer disregard for me as a human being or as another road user. And I'm not saying that all cyclists are saints, and I'm not saying that all drivers are bad, but it's literally a case of when you're driving a motor vehicle, you're behind the wheel of several tons of machinery. The kinetic energy that's in that is phenomenal. A cyclist is a few kilos with a few watts. It's not as much kinetic energy, and yeah, we brake a little bit easier we don't have airbags, we don't have ABS braking. Cyclists don't have airbags, so cyclists don't have ABS braking. When we hit something, we hurt a lot. Now I'm incredibly lucky. And I count myself incredibly lucky that I've managed to get away with no spinal injury. I was cleared of any spinal injuries, any major spinal damage. I was cleared of any broken bones, a lot of muscle damage and a lot of soft tissue damage. which is not exactly the ideal prep for 2 weeks out from my first half Ironman. So in a bit of a question what's going to happen with that. The bike is, I don't know. And again, it's a problem with, it's brand, for me, first TT bike, sunk a fair bit of change into it, and yeah, right before a race. So, either way, I am very grateful that I am still alive to talk about this. I count myself incredibly fortunate that I managed to get away with fairly minimal damage to myself, and I know there are others that have lost their lives from situations very similar. And this is the thing, guys, that when you're, just remember that for all you people who go, oh, he's just a cyclist, or you used to see a cyclist, they cyclists should get off the roads or whatever. It's like, well, the roads are where we ride. Okay, we are road users, just like bikes can use the roads, just like cars can, just like trucks can, just like motorbikes can. And I'm not saying, as I said, I'm not saying that all cyclists are saints, but as a driver of a heavy motor vehicle, take that extra few seconds, because that cyclist, that's your brother, that's your father, that's your mother, that's your sister, that's your daughter, that's your son on that bike. They've got a right to live and get home safely to the people they love, just as much as you have a right to drive your car. Well, you don't have a right, well, as much as you have a right to get home to your loved ones. So think about that. If you have to weave in between cyclists because you have to get that chocolate bar from the service station, or maybe you can wait 10 seconds and let that cyclist go past. Just a thought. Anyway, yes, so as I said, I am very lucky. I am home. I was discharged from hospital just before. I'm sore. I imagine I'm going to be even more sore in the morning when I get up. But yeah, it's been a terrifying few hours, that's for sure. So yes, interesting vlog for you guys. So I'm back. I'm still alive, which is a good thing. Yay. I still actually have my tag on from the hospital, actually, so there you go. But I want to say a huge thank you to there was a couple of bystanders, a couple of other cyclists and just walkers who saw it, and they stopped to help. Thank you very much to those who called for the emergency services. Thank you very much to Queensland Ambulance and Queensland Fire and Rescue and the Queensland Police that turned up to help and made sure I got off to hospital, and thanks to the staff of the Redlands Hospital for getting me checked out and making sure that I'm okay to still be here for this. And I don't know, 2 weeks out from the race, I don't know how we're going to go. This week was supposed to be my last week of fairly intensive training. That's kind of all been thrown to a bit of an aside. I guess we'll see how we go. Anyway, so I don't know what I'm going to do about a bike too. Anyway, that's a topic for another day, another video. And right now, I think I need to go pass out. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Still alive. Hope you guys are all well. Whether you're a cyclist or not, whether you're a driver or not, whether you've ever cycled before in your life, or you never intend to cycle, just think about that message. Think about that. Think about who that cyclist is to you. Alright, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you on the next episode.